welcome to Tudor Place. I'm Stephanie Ramos with ABC News, reporting for abcnews.com, and thank you for joining us this live stream. So here you see the historic mansion right here in Washington, D.C. A couple months back we got a tour of the house inside, but today we're going behind the scenes, or actually in front of the scenes. We're going in front of the garden. We're getting a tour of the beautiful gardens that exist here and that have been here for, I believe, about 6 generations. But we're going to check with Kelly Cox, who's over here. We're going to interrupt her as she's touching up some of the plants here. Kelly Cox, hi! One of the directors here at Tudor Place. Great to see you.
Yes, thank you for coming to Tudor Place today.
So what are you doing here? We kind of interrupted what you have going on.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Yes, absolutely. About a month ago, we installed these trellises. They are historically based trellises that the Peter family once had on the south side of the house, and so we've been trellising these roses to actually have a chance to grow. And so we noticed a small piece was not trellised quite correct, so just fixing it up here.
Awesome. So this place is beautiful here
Thank
in
you.
Georgetown, and it's been here for so long. And not just the historic house, but also the beautiful gardens that are sitting here on 5.5 acres, right here in the middle of Washington, D.C. So you mentioned the Peter family.
Yes.
Let's walk this way. I know
Absolutely.
there's like some really neat stuff to talk about over here. But the Peter family, kind of walk us through their history and their connection to this home here.
Absolutely. So the Peter family had first arrived here in 1806. They had constructed the house and it was completed in 1816. So we're actually celebrating our bicentennial here in 2016. The Peter family, Thomas Peter and Martha Custis Peter were the first owners here, and it was formed through 6 generations of the Peter family here. The Thomas Peter was the son of the first mayor of Georgetown, and they come from a long descendance from Scotland, actually, as Hillary may have mentioned on your tour. And Martha Custis Peter was the step-granddaughter of George Washington.
George Washington connection.
Yes, absolutely. So a lot of the plantings and gardens that you'll see here on our tour today have been here since 1816, and some even older.
Really?
Yes.
Ooh, that is so hard to believe, and my husband says this all the time. If you don't see it, you don't believe it. But I mean, that's a long time for it to be maintained, and it still looks beautiful.
Absolutely. It's so incredible, and we've learned so much about what kind of care has gone into our historic trees and plants here, and it is just so amazing to see what you end up seeing with the plant material and some plants that you don't even see on the market anymore, which is pretty incredible. So here we have one of our oldest historic trees. It's a tulip poplar, actually. A lot of people far away actually think that it looks like an oak tree with its sprawling branches. And over time, this tree, the limbs have just gotten so heavy from growing for 200 years that it has all come down, and it's such a unique and beautiful tree, and it was named the Millennium Landmark Tree for DC.
Wow. So is there anything in particular that you guys do to maintain this Millennium tree?
Absolutely. So we work with the arborists, and since we are a historic preservation easement, we also work with the National Park Service on doing a lot of inspections on our trees, and so we do a cleaning of our trees twice a year. We have arborists go up, and yeah, it's incredible to watch them.
We are entering
up
the garden world, folks. This is the garden world.
Yeah.
We're diving in.
It is pretty incredible.
So they climb up there with like some Windex and a paper towel. Scrub it down. That's probably the exact thing you do not want to do.
Sometimes they sing to them. No, they will actually go and clean all the dead wood. So they'll go up there with saws, and they have these really cool pulley systems that they go up there and clean them. And otherwise, our garden staff and myself, we just keep an eye on them, making sure for any pathogen signs or any disease issues that they may be having. But otherwise, this tree is incredibly healthy and just really thriving here on site.
So that's great. So it can last another 500 years.
Absolutely, and we hope for that, for sure. And it's interesting to see how the landscape has changed here over time. The perimeter was much shorter when the owners first came here, so they're able to see way far into Virginia, and especially with the properties that were here back 200 years ago, is a lot different scene. And also back in the day, they used to use this for growing straw and hay on site. So we have really fantastic old photos showing some of the work that they were doing on site.
You'd also be able to see some of the components from here,
Absolutely. Yeah, pretty incredible. And a lot of the theme of the gardens here in the South Lawn and the North Garden that we will take a look at, they used it mainly for agricultural purposes and really using the land for their own purposes. And over time, a lot of the gardens have formed into a more ornamental gardens, which is really wonderful for visitors here and fantastic for us to learn more about the plants.
Fantastic. Now, taking a look from here, this is a great view. Taylor, whip that camera around. You can see the historic house here, which this is probably one of my favorite views, where you can see the entire home and there's this awesome backyard for whoever lived there. But we do know the Peter family lived there for quite some time. So tell us about the house now. There's a lot of antique treasures, I guess you can say, that are still in there that people come by for tours to take a look at. Tell us more about that.
Yes, so we have we're open to the public, and as I mentioned, we're a historic preservation easement, so we go along the lines, and we're the national landmark. So we go along lines of caring for a lot of our collections that we have inside, and also caring for the house outside as well. A lot of these historic windows that we have take a lot of care and management, and it's a full staff here just doing a lot of the work, and it's fantastic. It's really great.
Lots of beautiful, beautiful pieces in there. So as we're walking uphill, we're here to take a look at the rest of the garden. Tell us a little bit about what's over there. That's a nice little terrace for gathering, birthday parties.
Absolutely, yes. So this is the area. It's had a few names over time, as we'll learn in the gardens. This area is called the gazebo, and it was built in the 60s by the last owner, Armistead Peter III. He used it to actually have a space for cocktail hour and also for a garden party, which we still have every year here in May. And it's our really big annual fundraiser event, which is really wonderful.
I will be here for that.
Oh, good.
You can't turn down a party.
No, you cannot.
Beautiful garden party at that.
Yes, it turns out to be a really great event. And we have some other areas as well, little rooms we almost call them, and it's really such a unique space. And we're actually doing a restoration project of the gazebo area with the gazebo and also the kitchen arbor and some of the others. One last thing I'll mention here is the large tree you see on the right here is actually a pecan tree.
A pecan
Yes,
tree.
and it actually still produces pecans, which is pretty unique.
So you can just walk by, pick up a quick snack.
Absolutely.
They're so good.
Yes, the squirrels especially like it.
Oh, I bet, I bet.
Pecan tree. So we'll be heading up to the north garden here.
We're gonna head up. So this is the south garden. We're gonna head up to the north garden, which is pretty, really beautiful. Do you guys host any? I mean, you host a garden party back here, but any other events that you guys host out front that people can buy and
absolutely,
take part in?
So as you know, we have Tudor Tots here that we do public programming. We have a really extensive and fantastic education department that just so thrives and creative here on site. We also have weddings here on site. A lot of people come on.
You can see that.
Yes, it's really beautiful. People also have their engagement photos here, which is such a wonderful backdrop for all the different plants and gardens here. And yeah, we have annual fundraiser events and other educational events here on site. The last one that we've started this year is Art in the Garden, actually, where we do drawing and learning different art techniques in the gardens once a month, and I actually teach that here.
Fantastic. This is no ordinary garden. You were walking through history as you walk through here. Now, these are really, really interesting. Tell us about these plants.
Yes, these are another original planting here on site. This is what we call the boxwood circle, and carriages would actually arrive from the North Garden and circle around here with their horses. And these are 200-year-old boxwoods.
Wow.
They're incredible, English boxwoods. And over time, they were, if you can imagine, a very tight hedge where it would just be a wall of green. Over time, they grew, and sometimes in the past, they weren't pruned correctly. So they ended up forming this really unique composition here with their main trunks. And it's just incredible. You never see boxwoods like these, just as thick. And the care that we do for these is minimum. We just do very low horticultural oil spraying on them just to keep any pests off them, which is just oil itself. And we use mulching here to keep the drainage going well, as boxwoods don't like to have bad drainage at all. They like to be able to just have their water run through quickly. But it's it's really unique to see a lot of these, and they're thriving and doing well.
They look great. They look great. And these have been here for hundreds of years.
Yes.
200 years.
Yeah, 200 years.
It's amazing. That is amazing.
Yes. And as you hear that noise, being in the city, as we have 5.5 acres here, we still will hear noises in the area.
Wow. Right in the heart of the city.
Sometimes I forget being in here, like, you know, you end up in a back corner in the gardens. You know, it seems like you're just in the middle of nowhere. But
Middle of nowhere. Maybe a different era also, and then it's like, oh no, wait. 2016 BC, here we are.
Yes, that is right. So here we have the center wall, and you can look behind us. The view of the north facade of the house is quite beautiful, especially from the view back there.
You can only imagine back in the day, like the kids running through here and just having a blast, because it's almost kind of a maze-like.
It really is. It really is, especially in the box knot here. It's like a labyrinth, and we love seeing kids run through there and just have fun games they create. Yeah, and they do talk about that in their writings. When Armistead III was a boy, he would play baseball in the bowling green towards the back area and just really enjoy the space.
There's much more garden to see on this
There
side,
is,
right?
yes.
All right, let's walk toward there. And you can see some of the colors also popping on this side. Tell us about, are those the tulips? Tell us about those.
So those are actually roses, which we can
are
actually...
those roses?
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, so we can walk through the center walk
Let's
here.
take a closer look.
And we can actually go inside. So the north garden is composed of 4 garden rooms, which we like to say, and each one had a different purpose throughout their 6 generations here on site. This area actually used to be the box knot, where this area on the left used to be. And right before the Civil War, they had rented out the space to a family and also to Union officers and doctors. And so the site had a lot of people coming in and out, and it ended up, neighbors came through and pillaged and just took all the boxwoods out of here for the Christmas wreaths. So this mostly got destroyed, and so the owners wanted to preserve the remainder very old English boxes for the back. So they're able to find the plans in their cousin's book, a Virginia gardening book, in the 1920s, and then recreated it on this side.
This would be considered a garden room. Okay, so you've got one here, you've got one on this side. You said there's 4.
Yep, and then we have one over there, and then one on the right here, and that is the round garden on the left, and the orchard on the right. And the orchard has a lot of different edibles that the families have grown over time. And these rooms have all just formed over the years. Before this was the box knot, it used to be the orchard as well. They grew a lot of edibles in there. So they've kind of transformed, and you know, we interpret the spaces as best for those 6 generations.
Right. Neat. Walking through the garden.
Yes.
Walking through history. I'm sorry, I just saw Hamilton, so history comes to me in rhyme these days.
Yes, that's
I
great.
need to
And you
work
can
on
see,
it.
as you mentioned, the roses, they're still blooming. They're quite beautiful.
Yes. And I see too, can we go this way?
Yep, yeah, we're gonna head to the grape arbor.
I can see like a specific design inside of here. It's very
Yes, very formal layout. And in the next year, we'll actually hedge these boxwoods so they're more tightly cut once they grow into each other more.
You got a palm here also.
Yes.
Sago palm?
This is a sago palm. We're actually moving them into the conservatory today. This is the last one. This is the 3rd generation sago palm. The first was actually purchased in 1814 from the family, the first owners, Thomas Peter and Martha Custis Peter, from Pratt's Nursery in Philadelphia. And they bought 3 separate ones, and one of them ended up here.
Wow.
And so these are really, the first 2 had died, but this is the 3rd generation. And you can actually see in here the 4th generation sagos, and we call them sago pups.
Sago pups. Wow. Descendant of Sago garden. That's from 1813.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
It is.
It's gorgeous.
It is really incredible.
So this plant, so this sago palm and other plants that are out here, you bring those inside once it gets colder. Like today, there's kind of a chill, so it's probably a good day to do that. But it's still nice out here. So you bring them inside until I guess it warms up again.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's great. We put holiday lights on them in the winter and do all that. And it's just great the documentation we have from the family that we were able to learn through their notes and letters that they had purchased that in the early 1800s.
like working here? You know a lot about the garden world.
I love it. It's amazing. I grew up gardening, and I grew up in a floral design business with my family, and it's a really great passion of mine. It's a really wonderful experience. So would you like to go down to the bowling green?
Okay, great.
Okay.
Bowling green. So is there like another home back here?
So this is the garage. This is the area originally where the barn was when the Tudor family first moved here in the early 1800s. The actual garage was built in 1914. Construction was completed. We're going to go this way. In 1914, the addition was put on in the 60s. The last owner had used it for gardening staff and also to house his Pierce Arrow cars. And lastly, his upstairs loft was his art studio. And today we use it for art stuff for our offices, education offices, and the art office as well.
Now these stone paths, they seem to have been here for probably a while also,
They
right?
have been. Originally, the paths were actually oyster shells. Pretty unique, and they converted over time as the shells were breaking down, and they get really sharp as well.
Nice.
So they've been replaced over time. But it's really interesting because when we're gardening, we find old oyster shells in the gardens.
Tucked away.
Yes,
within the rocks.
So this area is the more natural woodlands area. We have two separate rooms here. This area is called the bowling green, and we can take a walk in there.
Very peaceful.
It
I
is.
see myself coming down here with just a book to relax, and we actually saw someone up there just on a bench, just reading.
Yes.
It's so peaceful and relaxing and beautiful and a short stay.
It is so beautiful. This is the bowling green. We have a lot of our events in here. You can imagine weddings and other sort of educational events that we do in here. It was really developed by the last owner as he planted a lot of American boxwoods, and there's hydrangeas further up. And during the springtime, it is so beautiful here because all the saucer magnolias are completely filled with pink blooms. So it's just a sea of pink in here during the spring.
Wow. They're called what?
Saucer magnolia.
Saucer magnolias. We're learning a lot about plants, Taylor. Getting the vocab down.
Yes.
Saucer magnolia. So we'll just definitely have to come back to see that.
Yes. And the pond behind you was also installed. There's a theme to the whole gardens. Armistead Peter III, the last owner, was incredibly passionate for the gardens, the wildlife. He talks about how much he loved hearing the birds and seeing the squirrels. And so he installed this. He had actually, a lot of the found structures, he had found old bricks from houses being demolished in Georgetown, where we are, and he built these structures. So we have a lot of upcycling in the gardens and recycling.
Very nice, very nice. And we have, what would you call that there?
This is a bird bath, and
A
then
bird
the
bath.
Pruto
Ah.
sculpture.
Very classic looking bird bath.
Yes, it is.
Bird fountain.
Yes, it is really sweet to see all the little birds playing in here during the day.
Restored in memory of John Parr Custis Peter.
We
You have a
could-
little demonstration for us.
Yes. We can head back that way. You can see some other old tulip poplar trees here. Lots to remember with the trees.
So tulip poplars, all scattered throughout. So is there a particular plant that you see more of here? Is it the tulip poplar? Which one's the most popular?
Popular. We absolutely have a really great collection of tulip poplars. They're native to the United States, and so we see those here. We also see a lot of hollies. Let's take a right here. The last owner especially loved hollies, as so did George Washington, so that's another connection. He really liked how quick they grew and what a screen they're able to create pretty quickly. So we have a great variety of different hollies, and then of course roses we have on site. So here we'll be doing our demonstration.
All right. Little hands-on activity
Yes.
for us.
So if you'd like to come around and we can do a quick. Tomorrow actually we're having a big planting day with our volunteers. We have a really great group of garden volunteers. So these Florentine tulips have naturalized on site in the early 19th century. They're one of the oldest tulips varieties in the world, and
Really?
they're really beautiful. And this is a
Where do you
picture.
get those from?
They have one source from Brent and Becky's that we get them from, and we
Okay.
do some digging up of our own and transplanting them.
Okay. Brent and Becky's. Brent and Becky's. Where
Yeah.
are they? Oh, in Virginia.
Yeah.
Closer. Okay. Down the street.
Yeah, down the street.
Okay.
And we also carry the seeds in our gift shop, and I was able to do some fun illustration work for all our seed packs to
Oh,
kind of
nice.
give you a visual idea.
Multi-talented.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Very nice. So you can buy these seeds inside. All right. And then
Yeah.
go home and plant them and
Yeah.
get beautiful tulips.
Yes, absolutely.
Great idea.
All right, let me get you some gloves here.
Okay.
I didn't know your size, so I got
Oh.
you smalls.
That's all right.
Okay.
That'll work. I'll squeeze into them.
Yes. So one of my favorite things to do is putting bulbs in plant containers. It's
Okay.
really easy, and it's really great, quick color to have in the spring. So you have like a patio or porch that you need just like a little extra color. Yeah, it's really fun, and they're so easy to do. So that's what we'll be doing right now. Let me cut this open real quick.
Got pots here.
All right. So first we'll do, and I just wanted to show, this is a usual bulb planter, and we'll be using these tomorrow. And you just stick them in the ground and plant the bulbs right in the ground, so that's pretty easy.
Okay.
But for this, we'll be.
So for anyone that would love to start planting as a new hobby, basically you need a tool like this and some pots and some
Yeah.
dirt, and it's just that easy.
Yep.
So with this, you said you just put it into where? You just
So this will be, so say you're planting directly in the ground.
Yes.
You just stick it right in the ground, depending.
with the seeds in there. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So we'll fill up this. And since
Alright.
these are smaller, if you'd like to fill up yours.
Yes. I always wanted to, do the home garden thing and
Yeah.
plant, and I just always thought you just need a lot more tools, but this is it really.
Yeah, pretty easy.
Okay.
Especially
All the way to the top?
mostly to the top, and then
Okay.
we'll put the bulbs right in and then cover them up.
Okay.
The especially being in DC with smaller properties, a lot of people, they do patio gardening, and I think these are just a great thing to have for the spring.
Okay.
All right, so we'll grab our, here you can grab a few.
All right.
Here you are.
Perfect.
And so the first thing with bulb planting, you got to remember to put them right side up. So the larger side, and you can find the roots here. Don't worry about that.
Lost one.
That's the side that wants to be on the bottom here.
Okay.
So just like
the
that.
heftier side on the bottom.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And you can just
plop
place
it
them in.
there
Yep.
on the at the very top.
And we'll cover them up with a little more dirt,
Okay.
and then we'll have beautiful
And that's
blooms
it.
in the
I
spring.
guess you just have to make sure to buy the right
Varieties.
varieties and seeds. right?
Absolutely. Yeah, there are some tulips that are just annuals. They don't come back every year, but these actually do come back every year. They're perennials.
Okay. Now, about how many do you want to put in there?
I put about 9 in there, but you can put
9,
less.
Okay.
And they will start to develop more of their own in there over time.
Okay. And then I guess once they bloom, they'll look like this.
Yep.
Just like that.
And they smell really beautifully.
Oh, I just got that to me.
No worries.
Right.
So you just want to grab a little more?
A little more dirt.
Yep.
And about how long does it take for them to bloom?
So once you just leave this in a garage or just outside for the winter, and then in the spring they'll pop right up
Really?
around April in this time in this area.
So I could take this home right now, and then in April just
Yep.
pop it outside, and we've got beautiful
Yep.
tulips.
And we're gonna let you take that in.
That is really?
Yes.
Wow. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much. I'm trying to make sure it stands
There you
upright
go.
so it's not a mess by the time I get home in the car. This is great. Well, too easy. Thank you so much
You're
for your
welcome.
time and for showing us around this beautiful, beautiful garden here at Tudor Place. If you have a chance to make it down here, Washington, D.C., and visit the historic house and the garden, go ahead and do so. Thanks for joining us. Thanks,
Thank
Kelly.
you.
All right, I'm going to put some more dirt on here. Pat, 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 pat.